Joining us now is a guest who is shining a light on violence against Black Americans in the U.S. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Trymaine Lee is the author of 1,000 Ways to Die: The True Cost of Violence on Black Life in America. It follows the history of Black Americans and guns, and also hits on Lee's work covering gun violence and his own life story. Trymaine Lee joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. So you open the book with a powerful story about how you almost lost your life, and a question your daughter asked you that you attempt to answer with this book.
That's right. After so many years of chronicling gun violence in this country, the last moments of people's lives, the violence that people experience, it all came crashing down on me one day with a heart attack. And having no warning signs, no family history, my daughter asked me, Daddy, how and why? And I had to be really honest about what was bearing down on my heart. And it wasn't just the pieces that I was gathering of other people's deaths. It was a family history that goes back more than 100 years of how we've experienced time and again gun violence and what it means to carry that weight and carry that pain.
You talk about the generations past that have been affected by gun violence. Talk to us about the generational trauma that does happen in families where, gun violence has been part of their lives or part of their ancestors' lives.
I think when it comes to how Black Americans have experienced gun violence, it goes back to the very beginning, before we even got to this country. Folks don't know a lot about the guns for slaves cycle, where some slave traders, European powers, would only trade in guns. So there's this psychic residue from whence we came, where the gun was always bound to us. And then we go through history from enslavement and the violence after the fall of Reconstruction, through the fight for full citizenship during Jim Crow. The violence has always been there. And so to carry that weight, how do you unburden yourself from that weight? And the reality is you can't. There's the big historic trauma, the big historic weight. But in contemporary years, there's mothers and fathers and neighbors who've all experienced this kind of pain and grief that is really hard to shake.
What you do so well in the book is you tell the big story of guns and violence with your personal story, and you toggle between the two. And it was violence that you learned drove your family out of the South to New Jersey.
That's right.
How did that change your life?
It's so amazing, and I ponder it now as I've written the book, is that I exist, I'm alive because of an act of gun violence. My grandmother's 12-year-old brother was killed in a sundown town in rural Georgia. My family joins the Great Migration, where my grandmother eventually meets my grandfather. But even after fleeing the violence of the South, seeking new opportunities in the North, another of my grandmother's brothers was shot and killed by a state trooper in 1951. And when you read the headlines, it says, "Trooper's gun kills youth," as if the gun just popped up and killed the youth. But it's so reminiscent of so many other controversial killings in this country. But to think that my great-grandparents, who were tenant farmers in Georgia, lost one son in the Jim Crow South and arrive in the promised land of the North to have another son killed in 1951, it was a tragedy that my family has never fully shaken.
So you attribute this heart attack to the weight that you've carried, right? From the stories you've covered in your own family story. What do you do to process that pain? Because we all cover horrible stories, right? Like, how have you learned to deal with that?
It's taken a long time. As a younger journalist, I did what most of us do. We drink, we hang out, and we work even harder. We pour ourselves more fully into the work. But after the heart attack and fully understanding that I couldn't carry the weight, I had to get real with myself, but also find ways to process it in real time. So that means being mindful. My sleep hygiene matters. Realizing that everything will always be all right. Not the way you planned always, but it'll be okay. So I have to settle in that and say, I can't control everything, but I can control today what I have. So I've had to find ways to process it.
So how's your heart now?
Feeling good, man. It's full. And then I'm in the spirit of gratefulness. I survived the heart attack. I survived to tell my family's story, especially for my grandmother and grandfather. My grandmother passed about 10 years ago, but my grandfather was murdered in 1976. And to be able to finally put some respect on his name and tell the story, because so many families embody this kind of violence, we have to understand we are not the violence that we experience. We are the overcoming. Yes. We are the pushing back.
Well, Trymaine, old colleagues at MSNBC, it's good to see you back in the building.
You guys were desk mates or close to each other?
We're like in that same aisle, as I remember, right? They put the writers in this one little section.
Were the cubicles?
No, it was like a row of desks.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Yeah,
I love it.
Very much.
All right, Trymaine Lee, thank you so much. Just so powerful, your book. 1,000 Ways to Die: The True Cost of Violence on Black Life is on sale now. CBS Mornings Deals is next.